Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our in-depth video review of the Microsoft Surface. It's available right now. You can pick it up for $500 for the base 32GB option here. And it is the first tablet running Windows RT, which is Microsoft's very own tablet operating system. Kind of looks similar to Windows Phone if you check that out, but if you're a traditional desktop or laptop PC owner, this is going to come off as being something foreign and new just because it's a totally different experience that you get on here. And it's a pretty compelling device. Everything's made in-house, from the design to construction and even the platform experience, all through Microsoft. So we're going to see how it fares and whether or not it could tangle with some of the elite tablets out there in the market. At first glance, it seems as though the Microsoft Surface might look like any other sleek device out there in the market, but it's not until actually we hold it in our hands that we begin to realize that there's a lot of love placed into its design. And considering this Microsoft we're talking about, they're not known for making that many devices, but with this, we're very impressed with the overall outcome. Now, it has all the qualities we like about any tablet designs. It has a nice sleek body. It's not the skinniest out there, but sleek enough. And there's some added weight to it, giving it a sense of durability, and has a very distinctive style with its industrial looks. You have these tapered edges all around, which gives it a defined stature. On top of that, it's constructed with some high quality choice materials. It's made out of this magnesium composite material, which gives it almost a metallic feel and look to it. Maintains a very nice clean appearance, and again gives it an added sense of sturdiness. And overall, we're quite impressed with this tablet, and it's really up there compared to some other things we've checked out. Of all the things we're checking out with the Surface, the most underwhelming part about it has to be its display, specifically the resolution. It's 10.6 inches in size and has 16:9 aspect ratio, which makes it fantastic for watching videos, but its resolution is lackluster. It's 1366 by 768, which pales into comparison to some of the higher-res displays out there in the market. But when it comes to just reading actual text from a normal distance, no problems at all thanks to Microsoft's ClearType subpixel rendering technology. It gives text a very sharp look, but when we look at it very closely, we do notice individual pixels, so we can make them out. But again, for normal viewing, it's not that much of a problem. On top of that, it has a very warm color tone with its color reproduction. It gives it nice vibrant looks, combined with its wide viewing angles and its 400 nit brightness. It makes it ideal for outdoor visibility, so we didn't have any issues using it outside. And it is kind of low contrast, which makes it great for reading text, especially for a long period of time. So if we overlook the low resolution, it's still a pleasant looking display. Below the display, you have one capacitive button. It's the start button. It just mainly brings us back to the start screen. Meanwhile, on the opposite edge, above the display, you have the front-facing 1 megapixel camera, so you could use that to take self-portraits and even video chat. It has the ability to shoot videos in up to 800p resolution. Near to that is an LED light, which actually only turns on whenever you're using the front-facing camera. And over here, it's kind of discreet, but you also have a light sensor. Along the top trim of the tablet, we have the dedicated power button. It has a really good springy response, and these two notches here are actually the tablet's microphones. On the left edge, you have the volume control, very distinctive, and again has a really nice tactile feel, the 3.5mm headset jack, and you have one of these speakers. Well, on the right, you have the other speaker here. You have a micro HDMI out port to gain video out. You have a full-size USB 2.0 port, so you can actually connect a variety of different accessories, peripherals to the Surface, like a mouse, keyboard, flash drive, or an external hard drive if you want. And you have also the proprietary magnetic power port as well. The only thing that we find on the bottom edge is just the tablet's proprietary dock connection port, which has a magnetic connection with it. What it does is it allows us to connect either the touch cover or the type covers that Microsoft has to offer. Something that we really appreciate and don't see that often with tablets, the Surface features an actual kickstand you could flip up around the back here. And it's very solid too. It has a nice firm feel as it locks into place. And it'll hold up the tablet either in landscape and even in portrait if you'd want. And placed along the right edge here, kind of difficult to make out, but it actually features a micro SD card slot, so you could increase its internal capacity. Another cool thing worth checking out with the Surface is the touch cover here. It's optional and retails separately for $120, or if you buy it with the tablet, instead of $500 just for the Surface, you pay $600 and comes included with the black type touch cover here. Now, as you can tell, it gives us the flexibility of full keyboard layout, but buttons are flat, flush to the surface, in fact, that it offers little distinction with the buttons. And on top of that, we just find its registration to be a little bit of hit or miss. Sometimes it'll register it, but sometimes not, so it requires just firmer taps. So it kind of hinders us in that aspect, but it's nice having a trackpad as well as a directional keypad, so you have that full experience too. And in addition to that, it firmly stays in place in the dock connection port like so. It's strong enough that it actually will hold the entire weight of the Surface, and requires a firm pull in order for it to actually dislodge. Now, when using the touch cover here, it's best to use it on a flat surface like a desk, just because it doesn't seem ideal if you're going to try and use it on your lap. But ultimately, though, we still find ourselves faster when it comes to typing using the on-screen keyboard over this. But it's nice that it also acts as a protectional cover as well for the tablet, so you have that. As an alternative, though, if you really need a physical connection, we would probably recommend checking out the type cover, which is basically this, but with a physical keyboard with actual buttons, so you actually have that good tactile response. And it's only $10 more at $130. Aside from the hardware and the design of the Surface, the other big aspect about it is the new tablet operating system that we're finding with Windows RT. It's a big departure from traditional Windows desktop experience that some of us are familiar with, like Windows 7 and even Windows Vista before. But if you haven't used Windows Phone, this is going to come off as being alien just because it's a totally different experience. But if you've used Windows Phone, of course it's going to be very familiar, and you can notice it right away here at the start screen. So with the lock screen itself, it's nice that we have specific detailed notification statuses for things like the weather that we selected, and we have some minor ones too that we'll talk about in a moment. But with the start screen itself, after you unlock it, it's very dynamic with its live tiles, very flashy, it has a nice jazzy feel, and also extremely colorful, which is nice in painting a very nice picture with the overall UI elements of the platform. Now, there's a level of personalization with it, just because you could rearrange the live tiles to anywhere you want. On top of that, you have even the ability to actually modify the size of them. And moving beyond that, unlike Windows Phone 8, where it's still kind of limited with its personalization settings, we have a bunch of stuff we could change here. For example, with the lock screen, we could select a different type of wallpaper if we want. We could also select what kind of notifications we want to see on there, and select one that it'll show us a detailed status of a notification, just like what we see already with Windows Phone 8. As for the start screen, we have the ability to select the actual background wallpaper that we want to choose, and even change the color scheme of the live tiles. So it's really nice, very flashy, and we'll talk more about its functionality here. Windows RT employs a bunch of different gestures in play with its navigation, and to tell you the truth, we find it to be very practical and well executed. So the first one here is from the swipe from the right bezel towards the inside. We gain access to the search and share functions, the device settings, and on top of that, it'll show us the time, date, and even the connection status with the wireless, with the Wi-Fi connection, even the battery. If the tablet's turned off and we do a swipe bottom from the lock screen, swipe from the bottom bezel up, it unlocks the tablet, and depending on the application you're using, it has different menu settings. For example, for here in the web browser, and we actually do either a swipe up from the bottom bezel, we gain access to the address bar and also some of the other buttons, and same thing applies if we're going to do a swipe up from the top. We have the same exact functions as well. A quick swipe from the left bezel towards the inside, we're able to actually scroll or cycle through the open applications that we have, and it's very useful, and you can tell very quick too. And the last one here, it's kind of difficult to do at first, but after a while we find it to be very easy. So you do a swipe in like so, and then swipe back out towards the left bezel, and from here we actually gain access to the recent applications listing here. And what's nice about it is that we're able to actually split the screen for a variety of different multitasking elements. So it's nice, we could have two things running simultaneously, so we could change the settings at the same time. Over here we could actually browse the web, and it works really well. So it's nice that we have that functionality. Considering that Microsoft is trying to differentiate Windows RT versus its legacy experience in things like Windows 7, even Windows Vista, it's kind of weird finding a desktop mode here with the Surface, but you have that, and basically it's the same experience you find on the PC, but it's not. It's been optimized for touch, of course, but not necessarily the most practical thing to use. Now, in this mode, you have access to Internet Explorer 10. We have a file manager, and we also have access to the suite of the previous suite of Microsoft Office 2013. So I have Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and OneNote. If we go back to the start screen, go to the all applications, we also have some alternative applications that are still in play with the legacy experience. So for example, if you want to use Paint, Microsoft Paint, you have that. It's again, it's kind of strange to see it on here, but it still has it, but you're not able to actually download any of the legacy applications that you'd find on any traditional Windows PC. As expected, Microsoft incorporates social networking into its Windows RT platform. It's most evident here with the People application. It's very similar to the People's Hub in Windows Phone, where it actually will aggregate content from Facebook, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. The UI follows form in the other aspects of the tablet's interface, but it's a little bit clunky and somewhat disorganized, to tell you the truth. Sometimes we see some lockups, some freezes, long pauses. It just seems like it's trying to do its thing. And on top of that, the other annoyance that we find is that we can't actually post the same messages simultaneously to all of our accounts. We got to do it separately. So from here, Twitter, we had to go into Facebook, and on top of that, there's no option to actually attach photos. When it comes to the core organizer apps on board with the Microsoft Surface, it doesn't deviate from what we see on other rival platforms. For example, the calendar, its layout and functionality is pretty much the same as you find on any other tablet out there, but Microsoft's presence in full force with this guy here, just because Bing is on board. So you have Bing search right there. You have some other applications like Weather, which has a really nice layout to it, again utilizing the same design elements with the interface. You have Bing, I believe it's Bing Travel here. You have also other things, Bing Travel right there. You have Bing Sports. You have a news reader here, and you also have Finance. With the email experience on the Microsoft Surface, it's more than usable, but still lacking some comprehensive features to make it a standout hit. So the layout is typical 3-panel layout you'd find. You have the leftmost here being your accounts, the middle one shows you your inbox, and on the right here shows you the actual content of the email. Now the thing with this here is that it's missing some features. For example, we would like to see a select all feature so that we don't have to actually go into each and every email and delete them. And on top of that, it's kind of hard to differentiate which are the new emails here. They're bolded, but when you look from far away, it's rather difficult to notice it. Already, we mentioned some of the challenges we had when it came to typing using the touch cover, but we actually prefer using the actual on-screen keyboard for typing just because it's more accurate and where we find ourselves to quickly type away faster on it as well. The layout's nice and spacious, and just like the Windows Phone keyboard, it utilizes the same exact sound and has a very nice responsive feel to it. There are different options here. You could either use the full QWERTY layout, a split screen here, which is nice, and you even have a handwriting recognition if you'd like to use. And the last gesture that we want to talk about here with Windows RT is the swipe from the top bezel all the way down. Basically what that does, it closes out the application completely. So instead of hitting the X at the top right with traditional Windows applications, you just use a actual swipe down all the way down to the bottom bezel. As you've probably noticed already, the tablet runs exceptionally fast with a variety of different operations, from basic to some more complex ones. Even gaming, it maintains a nice fast rate, and we're very happy to see it running smoothly with everything. Now, the tablet's powered by a quad-core NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor clocked in at 1.3 gigahertz, and it's coupled with 2 gigabytes of RAM. So everything that we do, whether it be web browsing, playing games, checking videos, it just maintains a really nice fast response, and we're very happy with the overall performance. We gotta admit, we're extremely impressed with the web browsing experience on the Microsoft Surface. It's actually one of the best devices for surfing the web. Now, there are two different versions of Internet Explorer 10 on here. You have this touch-friendly option with Windows RT, and you could tell it renders our site perfectly, properly, and on top of that, it maintains a really nice responsive rate with both pinch gestures and even kinetic scrolling. And it's very rare that we find it actually slowing down. In addition to that, you have also the typical legacy experience with Internet Explorer 10 for Windows here. If you go to the desktop mode, and you can tell the icons and the address bar are not really optimized for touch, but you could still use it nonetheless, and you still get that great experience with it. The zoom monitor is not found whatsoever in any of the music player interface here. Instead, Microsoft opts to go with the Xbox Music attachment, and it again incorporates the specific UI elements of the platform here. Very nice and well done. Yeah, you could also purchase additional songs if you want to. As far as the audio, as far as the player itself, it's very attractive. Again, kind of goes with the dynamic approach of the UI. You can tell here it starts to show some different pictures, and you also have a bio, which is pretty nice. And as far as the audio quality of its stereo speakers, produce some pleasant tones, average in volume, and no distortion. Likewise, the video application on the Microsoft Surface utilizes the Xbox Video attachment, and in here, we could actually purchase movies, television shows, and even full seasons if you'd like, so that's nice to have that option. As far as videos that are supported, it offers a wide array of codecs, for example, XVID, H.264, MPEG-4, and even DivX. The one we have here, you can tell moving very swiftly, and thanks to its 16:9 aspect ratio, it makes it ideal, and you can tell moving very swiftly, and it looks very nice too. Being a new platform and all, one of the issues that we find is just that it's lacking in terms of third-party applications that are quality in nature for Windows RT. So here's the store, and it's basically broken down by category. We have games, social, entertainment. There's unfortunately no search option, so you have to actually go down through this listing here. We downloaded a bunch, and for the most part, they're nice. They work for touch and also they're tablet optimized, but there's nothing really stellar about them compared to some other applications on other tablet OSs out there. We have Netflix, we have the Skype one that we just showed you, and also have USA Today. And again, it takes advantage of the extra real estate and utilizes the same distinctive UI elements that we see throughout the platform. But again, hopefully down the road, we're going to see more and more quality applications. Regrettably, there isn't a whole lot of love found with the Big Maps experience here, and compared to some of the other things out there like Google Maps for Android, and even to an extent the iOS Maps application, this is very elementary in terms of its offerings. There's barely anything noteworthy of it. It's as bare bones as you could get. Of course, you could change the style here. You could have either road view or aerial view, but there's no 3D maps. There's not even a way to get transit directions here or voice-guided directions. It's just as plain as you could get, and in terms of just points of interest, you don't get that much detailed information regarding them. As I mentioned in other reviews, tablets are probably the last thing we're going to use in terms of taking photos, but if it's the only thing out there, then yes, most people will probably ultimately just use it either way. So the camera UI is pretty bare bones and barren. The only thing you have here is the large viewfinder, and the bottom right corner some buttons for different options. For example, you could change the cameras between the front and the rear. The camera options itself, you only get the photo resolution, the video resolution too, and also changing the audio device, a timer, and changing to video mode. That's about it. As far as taking a photo, all you do is just tap anywhere on the screen. There's no autofocus with it. It's a single fixed focus system here, and just like in Windows Phone, you just swipe over from the left edge to the right, and you'll be able to gain access to the camera to preview real quickly what you just shot. Ahead of time, we kind of know what kind of quality it's going to produce just because the Surface is packing a 1 megapixel camera in the rear, and honestly, don't expect much out of it. For a tablet though, it's decent, but when you compare it to a smartphone, the quality is pretty much forgettable. It's very faint with details. That's the biggest distraction out there. It loses out with fine details. We do like its exposure adjustment and also its natural color reproduction. The videos though, on the other hand, up to 800p resolution. It's again just flawed by a lot of grainy looks, poor details, and a lot of artifacting. Truly something that caught us by surprise. The Microsoft Surface's battery life is just impeccable, if not one of the best out there on any tablet. Fully charging the battery, we're able to get close a little bit over 2 days of normal usage. By the end, that second day was at 30% capacity, and that's strictly via Wi-Fi, of course. And it's just really nice knowing that it's going to give you a lot of longevity. Interestingly enough, Microsoft has something really good cooking with the Surface. It's definitely a compelling product. We got to hand it to Microsoft just because, again, it's not too often we see them coming out with a national gadget or device, and with their first time, producing a tablet, we got to say they managed to hit the spot correctly. It has a solid and beautiful industrial design, very distinctive from everything else out there on the market. On top of that, we find many of its features very useful. For example, we like the fact that it kind of steers us away from using a PC just because everything can be done on the tablet itself, and with the USB port we no longer have to connect it to a PC to get content. For example, our music or videos, we can just put our USB flash drive or an external drive to it, and we can just copy them all over to this. It's pretty nice. And it has some other features we typically don't see. For example, a kickstand, which is nice to prop it up, and a micro SD card slot. Of course, that's common, but it's nice to have nonetheless. And you have the cool touch covers, which some people might find useful. If not, you could try the type covers, which are a little bit more practical and usable. But the bigger thing here is just the platform experience with Windows RT. Right now, there are some bugs. It requires some tweaks to make it fine-tuned. But for a first-time offering, a version 1.0 experience versus some other tablets we've seen in the past with other operating systems, this is definitely more complete and comprehensive. And we definitely like the appeal, the style, the UI. It's going to be interesting how this plays out. Again, it's not going to be the only Windows RT tablet we'll see, but for a device that's showcasing the platform, the Microsoft Surface does a great job. So if you'd like to learn more about this device, guys, you could check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V. Thanks for watching.